Jared Thomas is a prospect whose value is being built through development, not hype. Since entering professional baseball, he has shown a disciplined offensive approach, solid contact skills, and an ability to control at-bats, which are traits organizations value heavily at the early stages. In the minor leagues, Thomas has consistently shown on-base ability and a balanced defensive profile, combining patience with the ability to drive the ball when he gets his pitch. His performance reflects a hitter who understands strike zone management and continues to make adjustments as he moves through competition. Defensively, he brings athleticism to the outfield and a skill set that allows him to contribute beyond just the bat, adding to his overall profile as a complete player. His progression so far suggests a steady development path rather than a rushed timeline. When evaluating prospects, this type of profile often gains value as experience accumulates and roles become clearer. Understanding where a player is in his development cycle is key before the broader market reacts. Jared Thomas is a prospect whose value is being built through development rather than hype, and that distinction matters when evaluating long-term upside in today's prospect market. Born on July 1, 2003, in Dallas, Texas, Thomas was selected 42nd overall in the second round of the 2024 MLB Draft by the Colorado Rockies after a strong collegiate career at the University of Texas, where he established himself as a complete, disciplined offensive player with athletic versatility. From his amateur days, Thomas showed traits that organizations value early in player development, including strike zone awareness, bat-to-ball skills, and the ability to make consistent adjustments rather than relying on raw tools alone. In high school, he stood out not only as a hitter but also as an all-around athlete, showing advanced instincts, contact ability, and competitive at-bats, which carried into his college career at IT Texas. Thomas posted a career batting average above .330 with an on-base percentage over .430, demonstrating a patient approach at the plate, an understanding of pitch selection, and the ability to drive the baseball when he got pitches he could handle. During his draft year, he combined double-digit home runs with stolen bases, reinforcing his profile as a balanced defensive contributor rather than a one-dimensional hitter. Since entering professional baseball, Thomas has continued to show that same disciplined offensive approach, translating his college skills into the minor leagues while facing more advanced pitching. In his early professional assignments, he has consistently shown on-base ability, maintaining solid walk rates and competitive at-bats, even during periods where power numbers fluctuate, which is common for young hitters adjusting to professional pitching velocity and sequencing. His offensive profile reflects a hitter who understands strike zone management, is comfortable hitting with two strikes, and focuses on quality contact rather than selling out for power. Statistically, his minor league performance shows a steady offensive foundation, with batting averages around the mid-.200s to 300 range depending on level, on-base percentages in the mid-.340s, and an OPS that reflects balanced production rather than extreme peaks or valleys. His ability to steal bases and take extra bases adds another layer of value, showing both baseball IQ and athleticism that impact the game beyond the box score. Defensively, Thomas brings versatility to the outfield, with the athleticism to handle multiple positions, including corner outfield spots and center field when needed, giving his organization flexibility as his role continues to develop. His defensive reads, first-step quickness, and overall athletic profile suggest he can contribute positively on defense, while continuing to refine routes and positioning with experience. From a scouting and projection standpoint, Thomas is often described as a high-floor prospect, meaning his skill set gives him a strong chance to become at least a reliable major league contributor if development continues on its current path. While he may not project as a pure power bat, his combination of contact, plate discipline, speed, and defensive versatility fits the profile of players who quietly accumulate value over time as roles become clearer. Advanced metrics and scouting evaluations highlight his bat-to-ball skills, controlled swing decisions, and ability to adjust to different pitching styles, all of which are indicators of sustainable growth rather than short-term statistical spikes. As he has progressed through the minor leagues, Thomas has shown flashes of power, including extra base hits and situational home runs, suggesting that power may continue to develop incrementally as he adds strength and refines his approach. Like many developing hitters, he has faced periods where strikeout rates rise against higher-level pitching, but these stretches are part of the normal adjustment process and provide valuable data for refining his approach. What stands out is his willingness to adapt rather than forcing outcomes, a trait that separates long-term contributors from short-lived prospects. When evaluating players like Jared Thomas, understanding where they are in their development cycle is critical because value is often built quietly before the broader market reacts. His progression so far suggests a steady, intentional development path rather than a rushed timeline, and that patience can translate into long-term payoff as experience accumulates. For collectors, investors, and evaluators focused on sustainable upside, Thomas represents the type of prospect whose value grows as performance, role clarity, and organizational trust align over time. Rather than chasing hype-driven spikes, his profile rewards those who prioritize fundamentals, consistency, and development trends, making him a player worth monitoring closely as his professional career continues to take shape. When we focus strictly on Jared Thomas's professional numbers, the data reinforces why his value trajectory is tied to development rather than short-term hype. In High A during the 2025 season, Thomas played 73 games and logged 342 plate appearances, producing 96 hits and 291 at-bats with 13 doubles, 1 triple, 11 home runs, 45 RBIs, and 22 stolen bases, while drawing 45 walks against 79 strikeouts, a statistical profile that reflects consistent contact, on-base ability, and athletic impact across multiple categories. One of the most important signals from this stretch was his ability to sustain offensive pressure over time, highlighted by a 21-game on-base streak in late April 2025, a run that included extra base hits and home run power rather than soft contact alone. As he moved up to Double-A, the challenge level increased as expected, and in a 43-game sample, he posted a .239 batting average with a .343 on-base percentage and a .368 slugging percentage, adding 3 home runs and 11 stolen bases, while maintaining a strong walk rate above 13% despite a rise in strikeouts. From a developmental standpoint, this matters because the plate discipline remained intact, indicating that the adjustment phase centers on refining contact against advanced pitching rather than correcting poor swing decisions. This type of progression often precedes a value inflection point once contact rates stabilize, especially for hitters whose foundation is built on strike zone control. When we connect this performance to market behavior, the recent sales of his cards show a clear tiered structure. The base 2024 Bowman Draft. Chrome Prospect Autographs PSA 10 establishes liquidity, and a price range that is traded from the mid-80s to just over $100 depending on timing and presentation, acting as the temperature gauge for overall demand. The Sapphire edition, PSA 10 operates as the first scarcity layer, capable of pushing higher into the $160 to $200 range when attention increases, while still remaining sensitive to market cycles. The Yellow Refractor Auto, limited to 75 copies and graded PSA 9, represents the premium scarcity tier, where pricing is driven less by volume and more by conviction, and where comparable sales around $300 demonstrate how sharply value can move when collectors focus on limited supply. Taken together, these performance indicators and market movements support a long-term investment thesis centered on steady development, role clarity, and scarcity leverage, positioning Jared Thomas as a prospect whose card values can continue to rise as his progression at higher levels becomes more consistent and visible. If Jared Thomas continues to produce at these levels with consistency, maintaining his on-base ability, power-speed balance, and disciplined approach as he refines contact against advanced pitching, his realistic projection points toward becoming an everyday major league outfielder with strong on-base value, defensive versatility, and the potential to settle into a top or middle-of-the-lineup role depending on how his power matures. Players with this profile often take a steady path rather than a fast one, but once they establish stability at Double-A and Triple-A, Organizations begin to trust them with regular opportunities, which is where both career value and card value can accelerate together. Continued consistency would put Thomas in position to reach the upper minors, compete for a major league role, and transition from prospect status into a controllable big league contributor, a stage where collector demand typically expands as clarity replaces speculation. This is why development-driven prospects matter long-term, because sustained performance builds confidence, visibility, and market conviction over time. If you found this breakdown valuable, like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel so more people can discover our content. FlipZonix. Value through knowledge.